Hey everybody, welcome to Everyday Journey. Today we're going to check out we'll kind of do a review on my 2-cycle Ryobi leaf blower. Let me pan back to it and I'll show you what we're doing today. Alright, not exactly sure what the model on this is. Here's a quick view. Let me take this off so we can move it around a little bit easier. This you just rotate and then pull it off. We don't really need that in the way. But here's what this one looks like. All the labels. It's been a great leaf blower. It's the only one I have, other than one that I had as a backup, but I used it once. Didn't really care for it. But I've had this thing for about 2 years now, and really and truly I've only had one problem with it. And that's I was using it for a really extended period of time, and it seemed like it was kind of bogging down, not really working right, and then it just stopped, quit working, couldn't get to start and run right. Let it cool off for probably 30 minutes or so, picked it back up, worked great. So not really sure what was going on there. It may have been that it just got too hot, and that it really needed to just cool down before use. These are residential. They're not made to be used for extended periods of time like that. So, but here's the problem I'm having right now. Like I said, this is 2 years. The things work great. The other day I was using it and I noticed this right here. I don't know if you can see that, but the whole carburetor here is coming loose. So now, if you look down in here, you can see that it's pretty much just, all nastified. There's stuff all caught up in there. But that right there is what I'm going to check out today. To be able to get to that, we just unscrew this screw right here. Of course, before doing this, I'm not going to be starting it right now, but it's always safe to go ahead and pull the spark plug cable off the spark plug. But just unscrew this knob, and this pulls off. Now you can see it's really corroded in there. Not corroded, but just gummed up with all kinds of stuff. Right here we've got a screen. And then this, I've got a little rubber, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little rubber gasket there that goes around this that really needs to be replaced. Not sure if that's part of this housing or if I can replace it, but after I get done here I'll probably go ahead and order a kit for this so I can rebuild this carburetor, put new gaskets and everything all the way around. But right now I really need to just get to it. I could probably tighten it back up using these screws right here, but I really want to clean it off first. So just take me a brush and go in here. All I'm doing is going to clean this off, try to make sure that everything is going off and away from going inside here, because I really don't want it inside my carburetor. So I'll go ahead and do that and then I'll get back to you. Alright, part of the problem I'm having here is this black shroud right here is kind of getting in the way. Alright, this plastic shroud right here kind of covers everything up. What we're going to need is a Torx bit. This one is T20, and I've got a couple screws here, one here at the top. Go ahead and take that out. It's always best just to put these, if you've got a magnetic tray to hold them in, just keep them from getting lost. I've got another one over here. I'm just going to set them here on the table. I've got it clear and I don't expect to be using that area. Got one right here. Not exactly sure if this one has to be taken off, but we'll take it off anyway. Missed one more right over here. Down here right below the blower hose, I guess you would call it. So we take that off. And this will probably just kind of fall off. Just pay attention whenever you're taking things like this apart. Make sure that the screws, like in this case, make sure they're all the same size, same threads. In this case these all are, so I don't have to worry about it, but you may get, if you do find one that's different, you need to make sure and take that into consideration and make sure to mark it, label it so you know exactly where it goes. So now you see what it looks like here. I'm going to go ahead and clean all around this carburetor and I'll get back to you again. Alright, I'm behind the camera now. brushed it off a little bit more. This is what I'm finding. The whole thing is shaking right here, so it's not really these. These are nice and tight. It's these right here. They're actually going into the, I guess this would be the head on the carburetor, or on the engine. So what I'm going to do is, I believe we need to take the carburetor off, so it will be requiring taking these off. Let me see what I got as far as the size for that. 5/16. Check that real quick. So there we go, 5/16 does it. Go ahead and take that off. And just be cognizant that whenever you do this, there's a very good chance that you're gonna mess up the gaskets and stuff that go hold all this together, or at least hold it together nice and leak free. If that's the case, you know, there's no way around it. You just got to do what you got to do. You probably could try to get to these bolts right here, these little screws, to do it, but one of them's on this side, the other one's you wouldn't be able to get to it. If you could, if there was a way, then you could tighten them up, but at this point, you know, you see all that crud that's on there, there's a good chance that that crud is also inside there, so it probably would never make a very good seal. So we're just going to take these off. That one's loose for now, and this is not the best. Go ahead and loosen this one. And now we pull our cover off here. It holds the air cleaner, the air filter. At this point, the carburetor should probably try to slide off of there. No, not this one. There it goes. Just caught the gaskets. Good. So take a little pair of needle nose pliers real quick, and we're going to remove our gas feed here. Just remember where that goes. This one's only got one spot, so it's okay. Some of them have multiples. Just remember which one it goes on if you're doing one that's similar. But we're going to go ahead and pull this carburetor off. I'm trying my best to make sure I don't mess up these gaskets on here. Let's see what's catching us. You gotta undo the fuel lines. Haven't done that yet. Make sure you know which one it goes to. These are different sizes, so they're gonna fit. Go ahead and pull those off the bottom. I think I might have enough play. I should be able to take it off without doing that. Just if you do it this way, there's a good chance you might stretch your fuel line, and then you'll have to replace it too. So, but I don't want to take it off. There we go. And yeah, you can see I torqued this part of my what do you call it? Torqued this part of the gasket there, but it's just right on this side. I don't think it's going to matter much. It really needs to seal more on the inside, so I think that would be okay, at least for what I'm going to do with it. At this point, let's see if our Torx fits again to these other two that we need to take off here. And I'm just going to loosen them at first. Yeah, that's fitting. So T20 will fit on those. The sad thing is those are pretty tight. So now I got to look into what else my problem might be. Because I should not have that much rattling around in there. I can't see the camera here, so give me a second. Yeah, this whole thing is rattling around. Let's see if I can't just undo that. Could be broken. There's no telling what it could be. Now these bolts kind of feel like they probably put some Loctite on them. Oh wow, that one's tight. Yeah, let me go ahead and grab me a wrench for this one. Right, as you can see, that one was pretty tight. So what we're going to do now is use a 1/4 inch socket, put my bit inside it, and try to use a small ratchet to do this. Good chance though. Yeah, there it goes. I say there's a good chance if you're using cheap bits or even cheap sockets that you may end up twisting off the end of the, or at least stripping the Torx bit. I've done that before. In the case that you do that, then you could probably use a flathead to put in there. Sometimes that'll get it. There we go, we got that side. Go ahead and unscrew this side. Let's see what our problem is. Well, here's what it looks like on the other side. Still haven't found exactly where my problem is. The only thing I can guess is that it was those screws, but man, those were awfully tight. Yeah, I mean, that's all I can guess is that those screws may have backed out some, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back on there and see if I can't tighten them back down. When it came off, just pay attention to the way it was so that you make sure it goes back on the same way. This really could be flipped around, but it's not going to work right if you do. So we need it to be, you know, on this one it has a little curved plastic piece right here that went in, goes in behind this other part of the plastic housing. It needs to make sure and go to the correct, because if you had it the other way it'd just be pointing out. It's always best to go ahead and get it started and then start the other one, and then tighten each of them down a little at a time on each one. You don't want to put too much on one and not the other. You want this thing to, and everything for that matter, to kind of seat flush. And just to make sure this is nice and tight again, I am going to use my socket and the ratchet there. Now the very best thing you can do anytime you're doing anything like this is after you get it taken apart, do your best to clean it up, replace the gaskets, replace any broken pieces, any cracked pieces. Oh, that's much tighter. Before, this whole piece right here, this whole plastic piece was rattling around. This is just going over the top of it. It doesn't really matter, but this piece was rattling around, and it's tight now. So next thing we got to do is, again, it'd be good to take this carburetor apart, rebuild it, but right now I'm not going to. I'll show you guys that in another video. And just slide our carburetor back over, get it in place. This right here, this is nasty. It really needs to be cleaned out. But just for the sake of this video, we're going to go ahead and let it be. Put it back on. Put our bolts back on, our nuts, and these had Loctite on them. Probably be good to put more Loctite on them. Go back to our 5/16 socket and we'll tighten these down. Now remember, we're tightening plastic to aluminum, and that's never a good combination for pressure. So be very aware of how tight you're tightening these down, because they're not going to do very well at all if you tighten them too much. You'll either break the plastic, warp the plastic, or you may even crack the carburetor itself, or the plastic piece in which the carburetor is attached to. You know, these are two metal bolts that go into that plastic piece we put on way back here, and tighten these down too much, it may even break it loose from there. So I'm not at the end of this wrench, I'm just right here closer to the socket, using my fingertips. We don't want this very tight at all. So put this back on, and now you can see that's not shaking around at all. So it shouldn't be letting any more air. This thing should run great. And the last thing, and maybe I should have done this before I put the shroud on, and actually I'll take it back off real quick, show you, is put your cable back on, your throttle cable, throttle linkage, and it's like a Z. You just have to turn it to where it goes down into the hole. You may have to, yeah, we will. You have to flip the carburetor spring, the throttle up, and hold it so that you can reach this where you need it to go. So you won't be able to see it very well. Put that in there and then let it go back down into place. And now we put our cover back on. Everything's nice and tight, the way it should be. Next thing I'd have to do is clean it. So well, again, this is much easier to do whenever you're actually facing it versus having it to where you guys can see it. So alright guys, the last thing we got to do is twist this back on there. Make sure it locks down so it's not going to fall off while you're using it. And if you guys like this video, please put it in the comments. Feel free to hit like. I definitely appreciate it. I like to see that people are actually watching these videos. And definitely open to comments though. If you got anything for me, production, things I could have done better, things I did wrong, definitely let me know. I'm always looking to improve, and I hate putting out wrong information. So if you guys know something I'm doing wrong, please let me know.